Early November of 2022, I had a small growth in my roof of my mouth that continued to expand. At that point, I was having some pain in my mouth and it was a little difficult to breathe and made it a challenge to eat. So I decided that I should go to the dentist, who sent me to an oral surgeon in order to have it looked at. The oral surgeon formed a biopsy on what was there, did not remove it, but cut it, and it sent the results to a lab. The results weren't known until a couple days before Christmas in 2022. The doctor's office had called me on my cell phone and said that I have to go in to talk with the doctor. I basically drove to the doctor's office, at which time they told me that I had follicular lymphoma, which is a form of blood cancer. So when I heard the word from the doctor, cancer, right away you think of the worst things, and they handed me a packet of information. And I really had no idea what he was exactly talking about. It was scary. It was a scary time. He made it to be very bleak at that point, that the survival rate is not great and you'll have a lot of issues. And I was scared. I was worried about my family, quite honestly. That was probably my biggest concern. I didn't tell anybody because I kept it to myself so I didn't ruin other people's holidays. I dealt with that news in my head, sitting here while looking at the Christmas tree and my family, and just going through what it could be like if I'm not around. And that year was a bad storm. We had a lot of ice. There was a lot of snow on the road, so we actually went to a church really close by to the house here. And during communion service, I was preparing myself to take the communion, and I was really, quite honestly, praying for forgiveness and that God would bless me. And also my son Alex has some health issues, and I was praying for him at that time. So I took the bread and ate it, and then so it was time to take the cup. So I held the cup up in the air like this, and I said, God, if this represents your blood, let your blood cleanse my blood and get rid of this blood cancer that I have. And I took it down, and from that moment on, a fire kind of went through my whole body. I could feel it, and it felt like somebody gave me an injection of something through my blood, and I could feel it in my veins. It kind of died down in about 10 minutes. I was actually thinking I'm having a heart attack or something. I might have to go to the hospital here because I've never experienced that before. Then I was back to normal and everything was fine, and kind of got up and went home and didn't say anything to anybody. Going forward, I had to go see a cancer specialist that specialized in lymphoma. He checked me over and I had to go through a series of tests. So I went through lots of blood work and lots of examination by hand and also CT scans. And I did 3 sets of those over the last probably 20 months or so, until recently when the doctor said, we can't find a thing wrong with you. Your blood work is perfect. They couldn't find any signs that I had the cancer, with the exception of the lab that came back from the Cleveland clinic that showed I had it. And they said, we have no idea why this is this way, but we don't need to see you anymore, which was great news. I was joyous. I mean, it was a great time. I mean, I called my wife and then I pulled my family in when everybody was home to tell them what had happened, and just, eternally grateful for that. And, the experience that I've had in my whole entire life has been one of a lot of grace and mercy by God. But after this, I definitely want to share my hope with other people, and hope in my experience maybe give them encouragement to continue to pray and continue to believe that God can take care of their needs. Signs and wonders aren't just happening in Africa, but they're happening here. In an intimate moment I had on a Christmas Eve with communion, that I would ask God to heal me. I don't know what God has in store for me, because I believe He spared me from something, and that He has other plans for me other than going through that process. So I'm excited to see what's next in my walk with Him.